Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here today with Jackson Pinkoski. He's our marketing guy. Does most of the marketing for most of our clients. I don't want to say all the marketing for all of our clients, but yeah, he's the guy. So it's funny, he and I were just talking, and I realized because we are not a local service company, we serve owners of cleaning companies all over the world. The way that we market is a little different than we coach our clients to, not because we don't want you guys to have the best, but if I owned a local service business, the way I would market would be exactly how we coach our clients to do. So that part all makes sense. But there's a part we missed that we haven't shared with you guys. And I'm like, that should be, these things are important even for local service companies. And today's the day we're going to cover that. So for digital marketing, or I should just say, I'll let Jackson kind of correct me, but most marketing is, for me, what I track is CAC and ROAS. So CAC is CAC and stands for customer acquisition cost. So CAC, CAC, customer acquisition cost. ROAS just means return on ad spend. And if we want to get really fun, we'll go LTV, which is lifetime value. So just to go one more time so I can use these terms throughout the broadcast and everyone's cool. CAC is client acquisition cost, ROAS is return on ad spend, and LTV is lifetime value. Why aren't you writing this down, Jackson?
Because I dream about this at night. I would tack one that's important for cleaning company owners too is AOV, or average order value, because it can be a variable both on commercial and residential. But when you look at your marketing in general, you try and take averages of things.
All right, I hate using what's it called, acronyms like the government, but I'm going to throw on two more, and then we're done. Because AOV is very digital marketing because it's more cart value and stuff like that. What I would replace that with for you guys is MRR and ARR, which is monthly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue. So for you guys, for local service, one of the beautiful things about cleaning companies is recurring revenue, right? That's any recurring revenue. I've had bunches of not bunches, but half a dozen, if not more. And boy, oh boy, when you've got one that doesn't have recurring revenue, and you know, whatever your cost to open the door is, 10 grand a month, 100 grand a month, and you have no sales at the beginning of the month, it's a whole different kettle of fish than when you open the doors. You're like, yeah, we do 42 grand a month. And maybe ideally I'll pick up some clients, and maybe I'll lose a client, but generally I know 42,000 is going to come in this month. Just a whole different deal. So MRR, monthly recurring revenue, ARR, annual recurring revenue. So let's dive in. Good news is here, a lot of stuff on residential versus commercial marketing is different. Everything we're talking about here is exactly, I shouldn't say exactly the same, but 92%, 97% the same, residential or commercial. So the concepts tune in either way. The way I look, I'll just kind of start from the foundation. Jackson, I'll let you take it. When it comes to marketing, people, so few, like less than 5% of people come to us are spending what I would consider, I don't say the right amount, but an effective amount for their goals. 80% are probably spending too little, right? They just say stuff like, I've built my whole business with recurring, with repeat and referral customers. And then 18%, so there's only 2% that are kind of not in one of these buckets, spends too much. They've read a bunch of books, or they read a couple books, or they took a course, or they, got Russell Brunson's, traffic secrets, and then, and it's all great. I'm into all that stuff, but they just spend way too much without testing and data, and they get burnt out, and they don't get their ROAS, they don't get the return on ad spend. So for residential commercial cleaning companies, for me, what I would coach, and I'd love your feedback, Jackson, or what I do coach, I think Jackson's the same, but sometimes not. Anytime I can get all my money back month one, I'm good to go. So if I'm residential, my average client's $400 a month, and I spend $400 to get a client that's going to spend $400 a month, pay that all day, every day, twice on Sundays. Commercial, if it takes me $5,000 to get and it typically doesn't, commercial does better, but they take longer. So just deal with that. So all the residential people getting excited. Yeah, you can get a client tomorrow. Commercial can take a couple months. So, but I would, if I could go to the lead store or the client store and spend $5,000 for a $5,000 a month client every day, all day. So that's that. And just to be clear, one of the reasons we coach to get paid in advance is you can still be cash positive that way, right? So if I spend $300 on Facebook or whatever the thing is today, and on the residential side, I get a client today, I can get their credit card for that $300 today, right? And I'm whole. And I understand I'm then going to have to kind of pay the payroll, right? Because it's, I don't get to keep the whole 300. I got to pay 150 give or take for for the cleaners do the job. And then I'm kind of negative the 150. But then 30 days from today, boom, I get my 300 and I've made my 150 and the payroll for this month, and it's just smooth sailing on out. Same thing with commercial. If you get paid in advance, if you start doing that 30 and that 60, the concept is the same with I would pay $5,000 for a $5,000 client. You just have to have a lot of more cash flow you just have to have money in the bank or access to capital. So when it comes to ROAS, I'm going to say this last thing. I'm going to turn over to Jackson because he's probably smarter than I am on this thing and I'm doing too much talking. But when it comes to ROAS, there's two ways to look at it, right? There's the cash ROAS, which is right now, right? Like, just like cell phone providers, they might spend for a little 200 a month, me and my family or whatever for our 2 or 3 phones or whatever, they might spend $1,500 or $2,000 to get that contract because they know my LTV, my lifetime value. I've had this same phone number with Verizon, and I'm not promoting Verizon, it's just who we have, longer than my wife. We've been married 14 years, probably 20 years. So I don't know what $200 times 20 years is, but it's more than the $1,000 or $2,000 they may have spent to get me. So because they've got access to capital, they can spend the ROAS for month one can be low as long as their lifetime value return on ad spend is high. So with owners of cleaning companies, because we're smaller, we don't have that kind of access to capital. We can't spend 2-3 grand on a client that only is $400 or $500 a month, even if they stay for 2 or 3 years. So that's how I look at kind of LTV ROAS. Jackson, hopefully I've laid the table. I'm sure he's probably like bubbling with, I've got 41 things to say, but Mike won't shut up. So I'm shutting up, Jackson. Add your brains.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is pretty accurate. And I think oftentimes a lot of people, we are business owners, I should say, they look at it like a snapshot. Right. So we look at it at that instant where, oh man, I spent $400 to acquire this customer. And it's a lot easier for you to focus in on what was spent as opposed to what's coming in. Right. But you remember now going forward, you're not spending that $400 ever again to get that customer. They're there. And if you have that, if you're a great cleaning company, industry average across the board is you assume 3 months. But most times especially with like residential, commercial, that's 6, 12, 18. It's a long time. You have
Let me give you guys just some feedback on that because Jackson's more on the marketing side. Obviously, I'm more of the tactical on the cleaning. Commercial cleaning companies, my goodness, if you do a good job, obviously if you do a bad job, all these bets are off. But commercial companies, we've got clients that have kept their clients commercially 20, 30, 40 years. Literally, Don Walls has a client for like 40 years. Residential, and that's not average, but I would say 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years for commercial with an outlier of 10, 20 years, completely all within the realm of reasonableness. So they might average, 3 or 4 years. Residential, again, you could lose a couple, 3 months, people move, but even those could be 1 to 3 years, no problem. And they do have outliers where like I've been cleaning this lady's house or, for 10 years. So just want to set a little expectation on that. If it shouldn't be 3 months, if you're doing one-time stuff or whatever, fine. But if you get a real client on commercial, it should be years and years. For residential, at least a year or 2. Okay. Back to you, buddy.
But even if it is 3 months, you're still profitable on that client. That's the thing. If you're looking at it beyond that initial acquisition, if you have that mindset right, that even really that month one isn't necessarily a loss. It's a gain. You got a new customer, you spend a little bit of money to bring them in, but then immediately month 2, you're making money back, right? And then month 3, you're making even more, month 4, so on and so forth. And oftentimes, of course, like from a marketer doesn't want to, in a perfect world, we don't want to spend $400 to get that customer for $400. We'd love to be a lot cheaper than that, but if you're spending $100, $150 to get on the phone to do a walkthrough, I'm talking residential here, for that customer. On the commercial side, if you spend a couple $1,000s to do that walkthrough, yeah, it might seem at that moment like, shoot, this is expensive. This kind of sucks. I don't really like it. But if you are truly going after those reoccurring, if you are building, if that's your perfect prospect on the commercial side, if that's the company you want to be working with, that long-term game, that long-term play, that marketing data is you're profitable. You're doing the right thing. When you're not doing the right thing is when you are, okay, I want to spend $400 to get, I'll just get a move out clean, or I'll get that one-time clean. That is the wrong thing, because now you don't have that month to. Now you are taking a loss, and you do that enough, you're not gonna have any money to go into the to actually do more marketing, right? You're gonna go back to square one with nothing, essentially.
Yeah. So let's just get into the meat of it. That'd be the ratio, right? LTV. This is going to sound fancy, but when you think it through, it's not that big of a deal. LTV to CAC ratio, right? So let's just say we'll kind of go in the middle of residential and commercial, so we don't have to keep going by. You get a really good residential client or a kind of poor commercial client for $1,000 a month. Just kind of, we'll split the baby. And it costs you $1,000. Well, the next thing you need is what's your lifetime value? How many, and you won't know how long this client's going to stay, but you most certainly can know your average client, how long they stay. And let's just call it super easy, 20 months. I think that's probably conservative for most of y'all, but let's just say 20 months. So if you cost you $1,000 to get this client, and they pay $1,000 a month, they stay 20 months, that's $20,000. You have a 20-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio. That's phenomenal. Like, many businesses do really well on a 5-to-1. Like 10-to-1 is really, really good. 20-to-1 is nutballs, right? And again, we got to remember, for us, depending on, how you charge, but we coach a 45% cost of goods sold. I always use 50% when we're doing podcasts just to make the numbers easy. Like, well, hold on, of that 20 grand, I might only get $10,000 of gross profit, right? Because obviously the money you give to the cleaners you don't get to keep that. And there's expenses off that gross profit, but gross profit is still, money you can use to grow your business or take for yourself. Still a 10-to-1 CAC or CAC to LTV ratio. So make sure you focus on, sorry, I shouldn't have started with the CAC and LTV without the value of the ratio, right? Like, what is one to the other? So that's the definitive way. If you really want to get fancy, you can go CAC to LTGP, lifetime gross profit, right? So you can see, I know, now we're getting real crazy. Hey, Clean Nation, Mike Campion here. One of my least favorite things about these podcasts are we found that people love the show and they love the information, but when I talk to you guys in person, stuff doesn't get done. People love the podcast, but they don't take any action. If you'd like to actually implement this and get this done in your world, we have a whole team of people that do exactly that. If you go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, you can book a time with either myself personally or one of our teammates to at least help you come up with a plan to actually implement and change your life. So if you want to go from getting these good ideas in your head to getting them in your life, just book a free call with myself or my team, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. And we can go from this one-to-many format to one-to-one and really get you some results. Excited to talk. All that to say, Jackson kind of hit on something that is two things that are frustrating for us to see our clients and you guys go through as owners of cleaning companies. Thing one, they focus on the things that aren't working. So they'll get local service ads. They're, for right now, as we're doing this broadcast, February 2025, they're getting a little more expensive. The quality's always been pretty poor, but they've been pretty inexpensive, and you can only get so many of them. So they've got some upsides, they've got some downsides. But what may happen is maybe you're getting leads for $30 a pop, and you get 20 leads for $600. So you're in a big market, you can spend $600 in a month, and you get 20 leads. And of those 20 leads, let's say 15 of them are just no good. They're not in your area. They only want one-time clean. They want commercial and residential. The residential want commercial, whatever it is, they're not your gig, right? What our clients will come to us, and this is why we force the data tracking. We want you guys to data track, is go, these leads suck. They're no good. I hate them. This is, I tried LSAs. They don't work. Let's just categorically say they don't work, right? Because and it can feel that way. If you pay for 20 leads, and just imagine yourself over a span of a month, getting 20 calls or direct messages or however you choose to have them reach out to you. And of them 15, I'm not saying like they're good people. You just can't convert them. They're not even, who's this? I didn't ask for your thing. I don't know what's talking. I don't know. I don't even live there. Can you do it for a nickel? Whatever. 15 of the 20 are that way. And of the 5 that are left, you probably don't even feel them because you're so used to the 15. Maybe you only give a bid on 3, God forbid, right? And you get 2 of them, and they're each $400 a pop. So you get $800 a month in recurring revenue. And what did I say we spent? $600. So if
600.
you go, yeah, say they stay 20 months, they're $800. That's $16,000. $16,000 divided by the $600 you spent. Well, that's a 27-to-1 CAC to LTV ratio. Good Lord. It's still phenomenal. And people will still come to us and go, these don't work. They're garbage. I tried LSAs, they don't work. And what they mean is, I don't know how to track data. I didn't know what numbers to look at. They just felt like they were garbage leads. And two things can be true. The bulk of the leads could be garbage, and it could be a wildly profitable thing. So, of the things that Jackson mentioned, one, I said there's two. One was it can feel like something's not working. That's why you've got to track the data. And the data would be CAC to LTV, lifetime value to CAC to cost to acquire the client ratio. The second thing is we get enamored with the first time dollar. Like we kind of get the same hit if you take one time clients, which we wouldn't coach you to do, but you sell a $800 move out and you're like, that feels good. It feels exactly the same to us. Not exactly, but just about the same to us as a little boring once a month, $300, blah, blah, blah. The $1,000 move out feels better. But if you do the CAC to LTV ratio, say it costs us $300 to acquire the customer, and it's a move out cleaner, for $1,000. Well, you've got a 3-to-1 CAC to LTV. That's not all that exciting. But if that little $300 a month guy stays for 20 months, now it's a $6,000 deal. We're back to the 20-to-1. So the two things I want to hit from what Jackson said, and I'll turn it back over to you, brother. One, do the math, right? That's why I'm hammering this math so much. I know people don't love the math, but boy, oh boy, if you're going to spend money on marketing, you can literally do something that's working and cut it off, and then something that feels good because you like the guy or you got one good thing or whatever, and it's not making money. You follow the data, not the drama. That's the first thing. Second thing is look at that CAC to LTV ratio when it comes to the clients that you get. Even a post-construction cleanup, we can get into that. Say it's a $20,000 deal. Well, the problem is we don't often know what there gets into other things that are outside of CAC to LTV. Because you could do a CAC to LTV, like, well, I got this one for free. I just knew the guy, blah, blah, blah. So your CAC to LTV looks really good. But what you don't know is CAC to LTGP, lifetime gross profit, right? A lot of those one-time cleans, post-construction cleanups, like, oh, it's 20 grand. I'm going to get this done for 7 grand. It's going to be amazing. And then something happens and they don't pay, and it actually costs you 14,000, and then it's net 60 and blah, 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 blah. So, again, just a lot of risk associated with those. So just make sure you do the math when you get a client. It's $1,000 post, move in, move out. Just do the CAC to LTV ratio before you kind of double up on that one and ignore a little $300 a month friend that is probably gonna make a lot more money for your business. All right, Jackson. What am I missing? What numbers? What data? What's going on with the people that they need to know that we've missed?
30,000 more acronyms and 3-letter words. No, I just want to hammer home on the tracking and the understanding and getting beyond that first time dollar, right? Because you'll work just as hard and spend you could work just as hard and spend the same amount of money on that one-time customer as you would as that reoccurring customer. And month 2 rolls around, you got Joe Schmo from one cleaning company that's got reoccurring. He's happy. He's got money in the bank. He's got money that he can now put towards another reoccurring customer. Whereas if you went with that one time, you just don't have that anymore. And the best way to do that and the best way to visualize that is through tracking and visualizing what the year is going to look like. If you know these numbers and you work on this, you can make a little chart and you can see where your growth is going to go. And that's a much bigger motivator for you than that one-time dollar at that point in time. Sure, you might get some beer money now or wine money, or Mike doesn't drink milk money. You'll get that money now, but that reoccurring, it does make your life easier because now you don't have to keep scrambling to work to get more customers because you have that person on the roll there. Additional numbers.
And I've got one to wrap with, so I'm going to let you go. But as soon as you're done,
I'm trying to think of stuff you didn't cover. You covered, the profit, like Mike mentioned too, a couple minutes ago. If you're understanding that you're spending $1,000 to make $10,000, right? That $10,000 in gross profit. That's 10 times more customers you could go to get, which would 10x your profit then going forward. So now you're looking at the potential. Well, I made $10,000 in gross profit over the year from this one customer, but if I reinvest that back into my marketing, I could potentially get 100,000 in gross profit from those customers. And that is really, really big once you start understanding that. But you can't understand it if you don't track it, if you don't look at it. So.
Well, you did it, Jackson. I had one thing I was going to end with, but now they're getting two.
Yes, more value. See what I do for you people on the
internet. I didn't say it's going to be good. It could be bad. I just said more. Like more's not always better. So the second one I'm tagging on to it because of what Jackson said is one of the least favorite things I hear from clients or prospects that they're proud of. They say they think it's a good thing. You might feel this way. And I'll give you a different way to look at it is I've grown my entire business with a repeat and referral business. And I'm really excited about that. But the problem is I'm like, great. Can you add 20 clients next month? Like for sure. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Like it's not repeatable. It's not scalable. It's not dependable. So I love repeat and referral. All we're talking about is repeat, right? Recurring revenue is just repeat business. So obviously we're for repeat and referral's great. Like is great. But here's the one Achilles heel with referral, which people don't get is it's not scalable, right? You'll get the referrals that you can have a system, maybe you get 0 to 2. And if you have a system, you can get 3 or 5, depending on, it really depends on how many clients you have and what your network is. But you could probably get more referrals than you're getting now, but you can't 10x it, right? So even though the lead quality is through the roof good, right? I would say probably the best quality lead is referral. And maybe local service ads, and I'm not trying to do those, door hangers or direct mail, or there's 1,000 ways to do it. Facebook ad, it's all out there. The lead quality is going to be a lot poorer, right? Like we'll go door hangers because it's such a great example. They're cold traffic, but A, you get to pick the door, and B, if you're in a city of 1 million people, how many tens of thousands of doors can you hang these on? It's so much more scalable. So even if the lead quality is not as good, which would you rather have? Referrals, which is the best quality, but you can get 0 to 6 per month, or door hangers where it's kind of crappy. You got to put on 1 million door hangers, but you get 1,000 clients, right? So just make sure when you come to lead sources, you look at the whole thing, right? They all have their strengths, they all have their weaknesses. That's that. So that's the first thing I want to get. Last thing I want to get, which is kind of a bonus, is what just about everybody misses. So everyone gets and it's really on the recurring customer theme. They don't acknowledge churn, right? They don't know the cost of losing a customer. So when we lose a customer, it can be frustrating. We don't like it. But when we get a customer, we get that dopamine hit. And it's like, I just got a customer, I just got a credit card. It feels good, right? But say we've got 72 clients, right? We do 0 hit, dopamine hit, excitement, celebrations when 71 of them stay in a month. But we just got all 70. Like the value of that is so much more than getting one person. You guys have all heard 1,000 times that it's cost, 3x, 5x, 10x more to get a new customer than does a retain a customer. We get it, but our behavior is not modified. So the first and best selling you can and should do would be to your current customers, right? Let's make sure that they're happy and they feel fantastic. Even if we put some budget behind it, still going to be cheaper than getting new ones. So big overview as we wrap it. LTV to CAC, lifetime value to CAC ratio, divide one by the other. So am I getting 10 times, 5 times, 20 times on what it costs me to acquire this? If you want to get a little fancier, you can do LTGP to CAC, lifetime gross profit to customer acquisition cost. How much gross profit am I going to make compared to what I spent? Churn, right? For residential, we want to keep that like ideally under 3% a month, which is still 36% a year. 2%, 1% a month is good, but difficult. Commercial can get that 1 or 2%. So keeping your churn low and just make sure that you're getting quality customers that are recurring, not the one time. And the lead sources that you're getting are scalable, right? We all love referrals, but they're not super scalable. All right, Clean Nation, hopefully that was helpful. If you love it, but you're like, that was a lot, but I need more help. And why won't someone talk to me specifically? We have coaches that do that all day, every day, only for owners of cleaning companies. Feel free to shoot us an email, hit us on Instagram, say, hey, I don't know. There's a ton of ways to reach out. Take a minute now, shoot us whatever. And if you're not ready for that, but you got some value, maybe hit us with refer a friend to the podcast or hit us with a good review. All right, that's it. Hopefully we gave you some value. Thanks for your time and attention. Talk soon. See you. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it, and we sure appreciate your time and attention.